Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, know-it-alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show.
Woo.
Ready to go down to the stretch, guys. I mean, it's already week 17.
I can't believe it. We were just talking about this, buddy.
Insane how fast the season has gone, how wrong the season has been going for a lot of teams, and how right it's been for some of the teams that are the cream of the crop right now. Amazing. Thanks, guys, for joining us right now. Listen, if you're new to the show, do us a huge favor. Really helps us grow this football community of ours and helps us get more well-known for people that haven't seen us. Head over to YouTube, search us up, Football on the Know Show, and when you do, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. Hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. It really helps out the show. We're trying to grow this thing. We're growing slowly and steady, and we're keep climbing. We're at 755 members on Facebook currently, and then on YouTube, last time I checked, I think we've climbed up from 54 to 76, if I'm not mistaken.
We're building this.
So
family,
we're building.
Joe.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our sponsors out there. You guys are truly amazing. You guys allow us to do certain live gigs that we normally wouldn't even be able to do. And as well as we do this to help you guys out to absolutely have a great show to watch. And not only that, the most interactive NFL talk show that's out there.
Absolutely, Joe. It's been a great season so far, a great year. Very big season of uncertainty throughout the whole season. I mean, with the injuries that have happened, expectations out of
crazy
all these quarterbacks and teams and things like that, and ups and downs all over the place, storylines all over, quarterbacks switching teams, with that's only been with them for so long, things, all over the place. But we really appreciate this wild ride with you guys out there. But the headline, some of the big headlines that hit today were really interesting here. We're going to go over for you guys. Why don't you guys go ahead, join us in the chat here too, bring up whatever you guys want to talk about, then also join in on the conversation about these topics. But
don't be shy. Drop it down below. Say hi. Even if it's just to say hi, we'll take it.
There you go. Joe, here you go. It's Nathaniel Hackett now fired as head coach here for the Denver Broncos here after only 16 weeks. And again, another didn't make it through the whole season, much like, what we're calling it in Jacksonville, last year. So, I mean,
Urban Meyer.
Yeah. And then, we've seen Steve Weeks before with the Carolina or the Arizona Cardinals get fired after a full season. But now, again, it usually doesn't happen where a head coach is fired within the season, before it's even ended. So,
right.
But after that blowout, just loss here, just dismantling of the Broncos here by the Rams here and Baker Mayfield here, just 50-something to say, it was ridiculous. And we talked about it before the show. They beat them physically on all phases of the game.
Oh yeah.
So so after something like that, an embarrassment like that, I'm sure we see this happen. But we've looked throughout the season at this guy, right from the get-go. I mean, you have a Russell Wilson where it seemed like, a lot of people thought that he would be the guy that would help bring this team further up in this division. But, in this division, they had great quarterbacks, though, too, and these teams are good. But Russell Wilson not playing up to expectations. And Nathaniel Hackett, whether it be game time decisions or the way it's game management, looks really lost out there on the sidelines. And this is what happens.
I mean, there's a lot that went down in Denver. The one thing I'll say for Nathaniel Hackett is his hiring. For Denver to choose Nathaniel Hackett over a lot of the other guys that were up for jobs. Eric Bieniemy, a lot of people kind of pointed at him. They didn't wait on him to get out of the playoffs. So, they didn't go after him. They didn't go after Byron Leftwich from Tampa Bay, the offensive coordinator. So that kind of it puzzles a lot of people, me included, in the fact that, okay, you settled on Nathaniel Hackett. So somehow, some way, in the meetings that you had, you guys were so blown away by Nathaniel Hackett's offensive philosophies and his playbook and his plans for the team that you were like, oh nope, this is it. This is the guy. They were so convinced, so they signed him, and there was a lot of speculation about him. They're like, okay, well, he's coming from Green Bay, but Matt LaFleur calls the plays. You know, we've seen this song and dance before. Matt LaFleur calls the plays, not Nathaniel Hackett. So he's never really truly been the coordinator in game time. So there's real no kind of crazy experience there. They still decided to go with him. He comes to Denver, and his offense, his play calling, his philosophy for scoring points just didn't work. And it's not like he came to Denver and like, okay, well, Denver doesn't have much of an offense to begin with. Yeah. No, it was they traded for Russell Wilson. They get this premium vet that was seen by most people. They bring him into Denver, and then they have an okay offensive line, but they have pretty good weapons. They got a good backfield. They got Jerry Jeudy. They got Cortland Sutton. They got some key elements of that offense where they could really take it to the next level possibly and be able to at least score points to go to tag team with a pretty stout defense. But we didn't get to see that at all. In fact, we saw not only utter failure from Nathaniel Hackett, but the Denver just couldn't do everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and that's what you saw. And that's, first of all, let me give a shout-out to Derek Debo, choosing it out there.
What's up, Derek?
That's right.
Welcome to the show, bro.
He also says Russ is a bum here. He says $250 million for what is what I say.
And that's the crazy thing, too, is that contract, right?
Yeah.
This is the other, like, kind of puzzling move that Denver made as an organization, not even the head coaching move, but put this aside in separate, situations, is they gave $250 million to Russell Wilson, who hasn't played a single snap for Denver, like regular season.
Yeah.
And they gave him a 5-year extension, $250 million, thinking he's going to be the savior.
Yeah, without
and then
stepping on the field.
This year, we see his lackluster play, and, call it what you will. Some people are going to argue that it was the play, the offense. Some people will argue it was the play calling. It didn't fit well with the team and with Russell, whatever. But he hasn't shown anything of his, recent memory of Russell Wilson when he was like killing it in Seattle. We haven't seen that yet in Denver. So it begs the question, like, Denver now is handcuffed. So what can Denver do now? Like, they've already they decided to move on from Hackett. Okay. I think that's a step in the right direction.
Right.
But now what is your exit strategy now? What are you going to pursue? Are you going to pursue a guy like Sean Payton, who's starting to assemble his own staff quietly behind the scenes and in hopes of landing a job, which he will have no problem getting one. But it's a matter, he's going to decide where he wants to go.
Absolutely, through that contract and everything. But it's kind of funny, too, because people have already kind of tried to draw lines there, too, especially because he's got Vic Fangio now, it seems like, on his coaching staff with him, former head coach of the Broncos, too, as well. So it'd be hilarious if, Sean Payton comes, but then bring Vic Fangio here as the defensive coordinator.
But why wouldn't you bring in one of the best defensive minds in Vic Fangio? Bring him back. But as a DC, now you put one of the best offensive minds and creative minds in Sean Payton and tag team him with a Vic Fangio, one of the best defensive minds. You put that together on any franchise, they're going to immediately turn that team around.
Yeah. And Derek says he sees Sean Payton being there.
I could see him being a lot of places.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost him De Niro, though.
It's got to be the right fit for him, too, because, like he said, when he said about potentially coming back, it's got to be the right city, the right scenario, the right players. It's going to be fit perfect. But, of course,
it's going to be up to him. He's going to have his pick of the litter. Yeah. But it's going to be hand in hand. Like, it's going to be the right situation for him. And at the same time, you got to pay the man.
And he says, or Indy, but I don't know. Indy, again, I don't think that's a situation here, too, because what are we looking at in Indianapolis? It looked like they were a team that were kind of just missing that quarterback. But now, I mean, when you've seen the way they've played all together on all kind of phases of offense, defense, they don't look good all together now. So where are they?
Currently right now, I'll tell you right now, I'll say this. despite missing Darius Leonard, despite missing some defensive backs that they had healthy before, last week that defense played not only really tough, but they kept their team in the game for as long as they possibly could. They played great, actually. The Colts, if you remember, not too long ago, 1 year, 2 years ago, that defense was seen as a top 5 defense. And with less talent, they have more talent now. So I don't think it can be changed very quickly. I think they need an offense to go with it, and that's what they're missing right now. They have Jonathan Taylor. They got a stellar running back. They got to figure out who their quarterback's going to be still. The jury's still out, whether that be going to the draft finally and draft one instead of trading for one, or finding maybe there's going to be quarterbacks available this year. I mean, if nobody goes, we know this isn't going to happen, but if nobody goes re-signed, this year's quarterback free agency crop, it's not looking terrible. I mean, Geno Smith is due to be a free agent off the top of my head. Tom Brady's due to be a free agent. So, let's say the Colts get Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton goes there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
probably like your
I
options,
understand.
you know,
I understand. Guys like you, guys like me that have watched Brady for many years. We're starting to see a little chink in his armor. We're starting to see his arm kind of become a little bit more weaker, a little bit more fragile. But he is still smart as ever. He's still accurate short to intermediate. He can still probably get the job done, but he needs help. And for the Colts going forward, if they were to land a Sean Payton, I think that he could, and Vic Fangio, mind you, I think they could quickly turn that Colts team into a real contender, but as long as they address the offensive line, because it's not so much the interior of the O-line, it's more the tackles that need to be upgraded. And then wide receivers, weapons to throw to. If they can do that, then that Colts team could be very quickly turned around.
Yeah, and he says, Derek says, draft a quarterback and get Brady to teach him. Yeah, you could.
Agreed.
We'll see what the situation is here, but again,
For sure.
will Sean? Does that seem appetizing to a Sean Payton? Will he decide to want to do that route? I mean, you go there with Tom Brady, sure, maybe that, and you do grab a few weapons. Maybe you're set to try and make some sort of a run, but. And what, grab the quarterback now? What, you be that guru to try and groom him like you did with the Drew Brees when Drew Brees came over there? Well, I can maybe see that. That's the only way it's kind of enticing to him if he likes to do something like that, he did before, but still ready kind of to win to do that, because it seemed like before when he said that he might come back, it had to be like, I'm going in to try and go get another championship. I'm not going here to kind of rebuild a franchise again.
But that's because when you look at that Saints team, that Saints team was built to go win a championship. You know, so that was the only reason why he was considering maybe coming back and making one other run. It was going to be without Breeze, but he was at least considering it.
SWB Pro is in the house with us on YouTube.
Welcome.
There you go. He says Steelers or Ravens possibly here. So if he's talking about maybe going
for Sean
Payton, I don't see
well,
the
John
Ravens
Harbaugh's not getting
Harbaugh's
fired
locked up there,
and Mike Tomlin's not getting fired.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that either. So maybe he's thinking too. Maybe that's where Brady might go. For a quarterback situation, because that would make more sense. You got two streams. LOL. Yeah, maybe. Okay. And the maybe that's what he's thinking too, the Tom Brady situation, because Tom Brady may be going into Pittsburgh because cold weather too. He could play there. Not sure what's going on with Kenny Pickett. If he's really truly going to be the guy for them. Mitch Trubisky isn't something for
promise,
them.
Though.
Yeah, but Tom Brady could play there under Mike Tomlin too. Good defense, that would work. Probably weapons too. And Ravens again. Lamar Jackson hasn't been the best quarterback for them. It's been the offense tooled around what he does.
Right.
And then J.K. Dobbins and every a couple other running backs too,
RPOs
run
and all
by
that.
committee here. For them, that probably makes sense. And I think he just reiterates here. Says Brady and Pitt. That would be pretty cool. See, that's what we're saying here. That's what he was getting at, not the Sean Payton thing, more like the Tom Brady. Where does he land? Because, again, a lot of these analysts are saying that, too. He is coming back next season, but
he says
probably
he is.
Not with Tampa Bay.
No, he's not going to stay with Tampa, I don't think. And that's the
He
thing,
says,
too.
quick, in my opinion, Pickett is showing potential.
Yeah, Pickett is showing potential. That is the reason why Pittsburgh won't go after Brady, because they see positivity in his play. They see things that they like, things that they didn't have before. Because if you remember, the Steelers especially, they had Big Ben forever, right? That they had a long winning tradition with Big Ben as a quarterback, but a guy that's not seen as a mobile guy, a guy that does not challenge you with his legs. But you right now have Pickett. Pickett is definitely one of those guys where now they have something they never had before. A guy that could escape the pocket and maybe take off if he wants to or has to. And he is still able to deliver the football as well. So they got a little bit of a dual threat quarterback now. I don't think they're going to move on from that just yet. Mike Tomlin loves it, by the way, and the way this offense is kind of starting to come together. So for a franchise to kind of go, well, we drafted this kid, he's starting now, and now all of a sudden, we're going to bench you because we have Brady, and now we lose two elements to our game. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's an idea. I like throwing out crazy ideas because it's fun to talk about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then for the Ravens, Ravens are all in on re-signing Lamar. They do not want him to leave the franchise. Trust me. He has been too important to the way this offense is run. And yes, they've catered it around him since they drafted him. But right now, let's just say, for example, if Lamar ends up leaving, if they try to trade him, whatever happens, somehow he leaves the Ravens. Let's just say that happens. Now they need a plan. We need someone in here now. Let's say they bring in Brady. Now they're going to change the whole offense again.
Yeah.
No more running ability
totally
from the quarterback. It's a pocket quarterback now. It's traditional. It's like when Flacco was there pretty much, So a lot of things have to be changed. So when you make a lot of changes in one offseason, sometimes it's way too much to the point where you can kind of keep the winning ways going. You're gonna have some bumps and bruises along the way, and sometimes it's such a inconvenience to the point where you're going away from completely what your offensive philosophies were, and it's stunting your offense instead of helping it. So, two really big changes like that, I don't foresee happening. But if we take a look at Brady being available, right? If he's not going to stay in Tampa, and he probably wants to play the field right now. He probably wants to see what's available to him. And any team that either hasn't had a real quarterback or a team that is looking for that quarterback to maybe take them over the hump, Brady's your guy. Until he proves otherwise, we've seen him.
And you know what? Now you're sparking this. Quick before we get to this, I hold this idea, but SWB Pro says, I see a good playoff potential with some young talent in Pickett, Najee, Pickens, and Pat.
Yep.
And 2023 offseason is a year to rebuild the O-line and add another star on the defense.
Yeah.
Maybe this is all coming to play now, because now we're talking about Brady. It's jogging my head about this Derek Carr situation we're going to get to in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's already been saying that.
The Brady said,
Josh McDaniels
said, hey, they wanted, you guys took this guy instead of me. He's brought up that,
and
really,
no one's even,
swear
nobody
word,
has confirmed who it is.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick actually thought it was him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, I think he was talking about me.
Me. Yeah, right. yeah, about team. So maybe that's a thing now. And Josh McDaniels, tied with Brady, is kind of like saying, hey, I will bench this guy now that I took instead of
bench.
you, and now we're going to move on from this guy, and then why don't you come? But for me as a Raiders fan, if I would say, and see and look at this, that seems like I'm reverting backwards again, because why would I go out and dump the guy that I have now that even was as a rapport with the guys and the stars that are there right now, and still younger than your 45-year-old veteran that you're bringing in? What are you looking to do there? You're not exactly built to win the championship right now with him with that.
No.
So what is your game plan?
And that's the thing, is it you
reunite the Patriots all together again with Stidham underneath Tom Brady?
Right.
This, again, sounds just like a dumb miscue by Josh McDaniels again, and he's just not a good head coach.
No, and you know what? And it's already been proven again. We've already seen this year how that team faltered despite improving their offense. Like that, I didn't think that offense was going to get much better, but then they bring in Devontae Adams, and you team him up with. Now, don't get me wrong, Waller was there half the year, Renfro was there half the year, but that's what everybody was looking at. They're like, Adams, Renfro, and Waller together on the field at the same time with Josh Jacobs running the rock. Like, there's no reason why this team can't return to the playoffs. That was the hype.
Yeah,
and
we didn't really get to see a lot of it together.
And a lot of people were right to think that. A lot of Raider fans were right to think of that. And then fast forward this season, and it's like, dude, how did we get where we're at now? Why are we on the bottom of the division? Why, with this team, with an improved roster, and we're not going to make the playoffs? It doesn't make any sense. So you're right. Tom Brady, there are rumors circulating. They're like, oh, well, Josh McDaniels used to be his offensive coordinator, so Brady might be coming to Vegas, and then they're going to get rid of Carr. And let's take this for what it is. Brady is 45 years old. Unless you're an organization that is bringing him in to help groom a younger quarterback, whether like Houston Texans, we all know they're pretty much drafting a quarterback. They're number 1 overall. They're going to take their so-called franchise quarterback. Hopefully he pans out for them.
Yeah.
If you're Texans, maybe like, hey, Brady, we'll pay you a lot of money. Just come help us for a year, teach this kid, take over the offense, try to help us win some games. Maybe we can push for the division because that division isn't very strong. And who knows what can happen. Maybe they can negotiate something like that.
Who knows? SWB says, I'm seeing potential that Brady may be going to the Jets. They're missing a quarterback, and he could be great for them. You know, get good defense, got some nice weapons there, too, as well. You know, maybe you get a healthy Breece Hall back next year, too. So
healthy offensive line.
That would be good. And hey, he's available right now, you know what I mean? Doesn't have a home tied down to him, so he could have a bachelor pad in New York City probably somewhere, you know, chilling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So sky's the limit for him. You never know.
Look at the Giants.
So,
the Giants are another team that is going to possibly be in that quarterback realm where they could use a guy for 1 year.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to draft someone again and maybe groom them. There's the potential for a lot of things to happen are going to happen.
Right.
And the quarterback carousel that is the offseason is going to be the most unpredictable and eye-opening that we'll see.
Yeah, and you said it earlier when we brought it into the whole thing. Yeah, just to think about it, this offseason with quarterbacks is going to get pretty crazy. And during the season, it's been kind of nutty with the way guys have been going in and out and being traded, injured, starting, not starting. So benching, it's nuts.
It's crazy. It is
we appreciate
crazy.
you guys out there with the comments. Absolutely, keep them coming. I want to thank our sponsors out there. It was at least Paul Perry Kitchens right now. Paul Perry Kitchens on 115 Freeman's Ridge Road in Scotia Glenville, New York. Not only, you know, did they have two, locations there, but they've milled it all into one. So now you can get your custom kitchen done, your closets and your bathrooms too, as showers all together, all in one place. Glass repair. That's right. They do it all, Joe. So go in there, talk to one of their custom designers here, get your kitchen, your bathrooms all set up to there, whatever you might need there at 115 Freeman's Ridge Road, or check them out at paulperrykitchens.com.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for chiming in. Listen, keep dropping those comments. We'll get to them. We'll give you a shout out. Listen, this is what it's all about, to kind of feed some different angles of ideas, opinions.
Yeah. We just got to start talking. We just had the Brady conversation after Nathaniel Hackett started.
Right. You know, and this is kind of, this is what we want. We want some, feedback, so that way we can kind of bounce off different ideas, and it sparks some different conversations. So this is fun. Let's go.
Absolutely. So this is what we kind of brought about here too in this one, and it's the Vegas Raiders are benching Derek Carr for the remainder of the season now for Jarrett Stidham. Yes. He will get the start here now, Joe. And it's been, they have been asking the players here, what their take is on this whole thing, what's going on. It's been questions about why they're doing this. Are they moving on from Derek Carr, with this whole thing? Does this mean after this last game, with the multiple interceptions or turnovers, that they're just done writing him off? And now what's the game plan? Is it the Tom Brady game plan there, or what is it?
We don't know.
I know there is a clause in his
no trade
contract
clause
that says the no trade clause, but then also about an injury at the end of the season. He's got to get the rest of the season covered for that. So does money come into play here on this one? It's a tricky situation here with these guys, and this is your team, which you're very passionate about. was it? SWB says, "LOL." The true question.
It's before that.
Oh, is it
Before that.
what? Will they remodel a sex dungeon asking for a friend? Oh yeah, with cooperative kitchen. Yes, they probably will.
They would definitely do
They
that
will.
for
They
you.
will definitely do that. So how about that?
What's going on, Paul? Welcome to the show, brother. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Paul Manny in the house.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, that was a pretty good one. But
Yeah, right?
I mean, honestly,
Way
like,
to be open. That's
this
like
is the
that's
crazy.
like that State Farm commercial where being too honest or whatever.
A
Like
little
it's
too
like,
honest.
Yeah, well, they
Yeah.
remodel my sex.
But that's
All right,
the
go
thing
ahead.
is, like, all these different situations that are about to open up and about to explode into the offseason. We have the Nathaniel Hackett firing. Now, what's Denver's? You gotta feel that Sean Payton has to be in the mix for Denver. He's going to be the most sought after head coach candidate there is this offseason. And it's not going to be just Denver. He's going to have a ton of teams that are going to be interested in hiring him. Whether it be, I'm saying even if a coach is still there and they haven't fired him yet, like an upgrade. He's going to be an upgrade regardless of how you look at it, unless you're the Chiefs with Andy Reid or something like that. But there's tons of teams that are not only looking for coaches now, but also the quarterback is always that elusive position no one can get a grasp on. So lots of changes. We hear now with the Raiders moving on, they're benching Carr for the last 2 games. It's been announced. It's for the rest of the season. Carr has said that he's taking time away from the team, which is a big statement. It's not like he's going to be there to like, hey, guys, I'll be at practice and stuff still. But no. He's away from the team.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of the players they found out when they walked into the room
in the morning
to plan, and he just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's how they kind of find out about
but
it.
that's because it was in the team meeting. The meeting was to announce that Carr isn't going to be the quarterback. And the excuse though, this is kind of what puzzles me. And this is what it's almost like some of these head coaches when they give explanations on certain situations or decisions. It's like they think we're stupid. The explanation was, well, we're going to evaluate was the term he used. We're going to evaluate Jared Stidham for the last 2 games. Knowing our situation right now. Okay, Josh, how about you had Stidham in New England? You already know what he is. And he never became your starter in New England. So, what are you trying to show here? And then on top of that, for you to kind of just say, but now you make the decision to bench Carr for the last 2 games. Mind you, technically the Raiders are not out of the playoffs. So you're telling me that without Carr gives you a better chance to maybe beat the Niners? Are you insane? It's just blasphemy at this point. Like, this is a dumb decision made by a guy all season long. So for Josh and company, for them to kind of make this decision, bench Carr. Now, there's a couple reasons why. They bench Carr for the last 2 games because, one, if he was to play in the Niner game or play in the Chief game, which is the last game, and he gets injured, his contract automatically becomes guaranteed for next year. That's $32 million. Boom. Next year, he's locked in for next year. So by benching him now, shutting him down for the rest of the season, they avoid that guarantee. But maybe about a week or so later, after the season's over with, there's a certain, I forgot the date, but there's a certain date in the first week of January that if they do not either cut him or trade him, his contract becomes guaranteed anyway.
Yeah.
So you gotta figure it out relatively quickly if you're going to stay with him or not.
Giving up.
And then on top of that, Carr's also even said last year that he wants no other team to play for. If he has to, he said, if I was moved on from or something, he goes, I would just retire. He's already threatened that.
Yeah.
And this is a guy with a high character that doesn't, blow smoke up people's asses. He's a guy that's very true to his word. So I wonder if he's being for real now.
Nothing is impossible.
Because if let's just say, for example, the Raiders do try to trade him now. They decide, okay, we're done. We're done with Derek Carr. We're going to move on from him. We got a couple deals in place already. Would you undo your no trade clause so we can trade you to this team or that team? Nope, I'm going to retire. Peace out. You know what I mean? Then you get no trade value. You get nothing.
Yeah.
You get cap space for next year, but now you have no quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know if the right way to do
he's
it.
always kind of been that guy, ever since he got drafted by them, that he's been true to them. Like, yeah, you drafted me. I'm a Raider now. I've been a Raider for life. That's what I'm going to be. Almost like Eli was with the Giants. Once a Raider, once a Giant's always a Giant. Maybe he just wants to be, once a Raider, always a Raider, and just retires that. So we've got Paul. He says, what do you think they could get in a trade for Carr? We'll get to SWB in a second here because he wants to change the subject here in a little bit. But,
he said,
Greg, what does Greg say? Greg Schneider's in the house.
What's up, Greg? Welcome to the show. He said they could get Tavon Austin for Carr. No, that's not going to work. This is the problem with the narrative in the league where people don't pay attention to, how good a player is or not.
Yeah.
So for Paul Matty, Happy New Year, by the way. He said that earlier in the chat. But let's get back to the Carr thing. So, what do I think they could get for Carr? Like, listen, there's been a rumor where when last year teams were actually calling the Raiders when Josh McDaniels first got hired, and Dave Ziegler was the GM. They were calling the Raiders on the availability of Carr. Teams like the Colts, there was a bunch of teams. There was like 6 teams that were all interested in Carr, and they were willing to offer not only just 1 first-round pick, but 2. And that was then. And now that there's going to be even more teams interested in the quarterback position, and if Carr was to become available, I could see that being a start point. Listen, look at what Russell Wilson got. I mean, they got not only players, but they also got multiple, first rounders and mid rounders and stuff like that. Carr is not only younger, but also he's a really good quarterback to the point where he could definitely run your franchise and definitely help them get to the playoffs and maybe further. But the problem is that the narrative around him from certain journalists or whatever that kind of target him a lot and be like, oh well, he had a bad game today, so he's pretty bad, and everybody kind of just believes it. But the thing is with Carr, I think the starting point is because not only 1, he's a quarterback. Yeah, that's the most important position, and 2, there's going to be a lot of interest for a guy like that. That's already proven. You don't have to guess what he can do for you. So definitely with 2 1s, and then let's see what happens after that.
Yeah, I mean, and if you want to go off that Russell Wilson thing, I think that's going to be everybody's base for not to give up all those picks and not to give up all those players.
But you know what?
Work.
But you know why that all was given up? Because of the name.
No, I bet.
That's really what it was.
Hoping to grasp, former MVP of a Super Bowl, trying to get that, out of him.
Right.
Not there anymore. Paul Matty says Carr in Detroit. I don't know about that either. Just because Goff is there and he's doing pretty decent. And if I don't know, you put both of those quarterbacks together. I mean, they're different, but I think quality wise, you're similar. I mean, I don't think you're.
I think Carr's better than Goff.
Well, I don't think you're gonna get drastically better. So to make a trade, I'm one that always the whole value. How I am with that. I'm just
the problem is with quarterback.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you're not going to exceed. I mean, even if you were to trade Aaron Rodgers to Detroit. Aaron Rodgers has been the staple as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah. Let's just say that, for example, Rodgers to Goff. I still wouldn't do that. Rodgers is older. Rodgers is almost ready to retire. Like he's been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And why would you take a chance on a guy that might not be around? And then for Goff, listen, Jared Goff, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but this year, early in the season, Detroit with Jared Goff as quarterback had the number 1 offense. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So
shout out to
I don't think
SWB Pro. He's taking off, Joe. So he says, "Hi, Happy New Year to everybody." Sorry we didn't get to your point, but I'll bring it up for conversation for everybody here. He says, in your guys' opinions, do you think the Eagles aren't truly a real 13-2 team, or is there a loss just because of Jalen Hurts' injury?
I mean, it definitely plays a part. I never say when you lose a player
that game. Yeah.
That it's boom. That's the reason why they lost. No, because it's a team sport. And yes, you're right. The loss of Jalen Hurts does hinder their offense, but I don't think it stalls it out completely to the point where they just can't win games. So for Hurts, yeah, I think they are a legit 13-win team. I mean, they've proven it. It's not like they're let's just say if the Giants went on a 13-win season, right, this year. Yeah. And with their current roster, which is a bunch of nobodies except for Barkley and Daniel Jones, that to me would be like, oh, no, they're not a real 13 win. They've gotten lucky a lot of times or you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Eagles roster, they got a stellar defense. They got a stellar offense. And they've been pretty much healthy throughout the year. So I do believe that they are a legit 13-win team, and they are going to be the toughest outs come playoffs.
Yeah, Paul Matty says you can't fake 13-2 in the NFL. Yeah, and again, luck only gets you so far, and a bunch of different things. And that's why there's a question with what's happened with the Minnesota Vikings too, and how they've pulled out
for sure.
Victories. A lot of close margin victories. The biggest come from behind victory here just a few weeks ago. Against Indianapolis.
Right.
But that's just the difference between bad teams and good teams. Indianapolis is just a bad team right now to squander a lead like that and give it up. That's more of an Indianapolis thing, I think, than even, Minnesota Vikings. But it doesn't mean that the Vikings are terrible even too, that they were getting killed by Indianapolis in that point. Sometimes it's matchups. So it's just situational football too.
Can we just say this is the difference between good teams and bad teams? The Colts actually handily had that game.
Yeah,
they were up 30-plus points at halftime, and all they had to do was keep playing the same ball in the second half, and up 30 points.
Right.
You should never lose that. And for the Vikings to never give up and fight all the way back and end up winning it in overtime. Right. That just shows you that the Colts are still a bad team and the Vikings are a good team.
Right. And the Eagles are still winning games that they really are expected to win. That tight one, again, I picked the Cowboys in that one just because, again, Minshew's in there, not normally their starter, still capable.
Oh,
and
definitely.
They were putting up points. Like you saw even that first, right in the beginning, A.J. Brown getting it, and he was there.
Right.
And you saw, I think, mainly, too, the weakness of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's just be honest about their defense is not good. People want to say it's great. It's not that good.
They got a couple of good players, and that's it.
Right. They can easily get scored on, especially in that secondary. Trayvon Diggs, he's always looking for that pick so you can get him to bite on double, triple moves. A.J. Brown was making him his toy, and that's the difference. You want to talk about a fake, a real, and fake? The Dallas Cowboys right now, I think, are a faker team than what the Philadelphia Eagles are right now. Philadelphia is stacked with talent all around on defense, offense, the line too, Jason Kelsey, a Hall of Famer.
And then they added more mid-season. They added 2 more D tackles on top of it.
Adding on top of it. So, and that's what good teams do, keep adding to help them get better and make that playoff run. Meanwhile, Cowboys aren't. There. Paul Matty says it's going to be great playoffs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, and as much as I hate to say it too, as a Giants fan, the Eagles, they're for real.
You
man.
got Paul, by the way. He said making his toy laugh.
Making him his toy. Yeah, that's what it is. I that's my one-liner, I guess, that I got for the bites here. So, Joe, yeah. So he did. Speaking toys here, your team and the Raiders now. Derek Carr. It seems like. It's been one of those things since his career started. Again, you guys had to defend this guy nonstop. And I brought it up to somebody today, too, when they're talking about Derek Carr and the injury stuff. And I said, dude, the dude has been through how many different coaches, how many different offenses, and he
still
even
delivers.
said that too. He's like, well, when you learn that many offenses, shouldn't that make you even better? I'm
No.
like, well, you're learning a bunch of different things,
You
different
gotta
language,
relearn.
but you have to redo it all the time
Yeah.
and absorb it. And luckily, with his talent, he's been able to do that. But rotating, talent and wide receivers, running backs here and there. Not really having a great team until kind of like right now, but you're with a coach now that possibly is a lame duck coach again now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
with Josh McDaniels, where you looked like you were building something with Gruden. It was kind of getting there. It was showing signs, at least, and they had a relationship together.
Yeah.
Something that was starting to be something that had roots, you know what I mean? Multiple years together.
It could have been special.
And for him to do that, and that's why he's kind of got a bad rep and everything, but put Tom Brady in a situation like that. Look at him right now when he doesn't have an offensive line. Everybody's seeing how terrible he is. You know what I'm saying?
He can't make
have
plays.
a whole career like that.
It doesn't matter. You can't. I don't care what quarterback it is. If you don't have an offensive line, I don't care if you're Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow,
Yeah,
whoever.
and he even has weapons in Tampa.
If you don't have an offensive line, you're not going to You're not going to have a great year. You're not going to play extremely well. So, like for Carr, imagine what Carr's been able to accomplish with what he's had. He hasn't always had a good O-line. You know, he hasn't had good weapons for the most part of his career until recently. You know what I mean? Waller was a practice squad guy on the Ravens roster, and they happened to sign him and give him a shot. And he panned out to be pretty good. But, like, as of late, Carr hasn't had all these kind of crazy weapons his whole career.
Yeah.
It's just now he's getting them and getting these pieces in place to where they could be competitive on offense anyway. Defense needs a lot of work still. But to be completely honest, if you move on from Derek Carr, you're not only setting the coaching staff to get fired, they should be fired now, but you're not setting them up to get fired. But on top of that, you're setting this organization back another 10 years because now you got to try to re-find the future quarterback again. Why do that when you have a guy that is more than competent to help you win games now?
Yeah, Joe, I want to throw this out there with everybody else, too. By the way, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas out there. Let us know what you got for Christmas. Anything good? What's the gifts you end up getting? And also, drop the comments down there. It's New Year's coming up. What's your resolutions for the next year? Well, you know, what are you guys having to plan for the next year? A new you? Are you going to hit the gym? Are you going to do this and that? You know, you want to go travel somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to the gym. But I think I might have a New Year's resolution. If Carr ends up getting moved, I might just change teams.
Change teams?
I might
How
be
about
done.
That would be epic, Joe.
I might be done, bro.
Life-changing
I'm telling you right now. You know how many losing seasons I've had to go through and all these bad decisions?
I know, but why change now even? I understand right now, but, dude, all those broken years, and you've dealt through it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this will break you this much now
this
that you're
could
going to
break
change.
me. Like,
That's
really
insane.
could.
All right, well, what doesn't break us is our relationship here with Colorize. We love Colorize. They have 4 locations now in upstate New York. They're building this family just like we are. And absolutely. The paint professionals, not only are they your local Benjamin Moore dealer, but being an independent dealer too and ownership, they specify in almost everything paint related too, Joe. And talk about supplies. You know, I go there for my paint and hook me up there and get the gallons of paint that I need. But the supplies, while they're doing the mixing, I start looking around and like, it's like when I go to Home Depot and stuff like that too. I see all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I could use that. And all of a sudden my cart is full with stuff, you know, that I need, but I'm just like, man, I can't believe they have this here. So Colorize, check them out. 4 different locations: Queensbury, Troy, or North Greenbush rather, Clifton Park, and Niskayuna. Or check them out on mycolorize.com. Greg Schreiner, hello, my man. I got that in there. I do, and I can't get to it quick enough.
Oh boy, it was funny. Yeah, you know, and they do a phenomenal job. You know what I mean? Listen, if you ever guys have any questions about painting or something, my boy Jim. I mean, he moved from his old house, and before he was making final preparations in his old house, he was asking like what paint to use in the cold. Like it's
I had to
all
find
different
a
and stuff.
minimal temperature outside because again it's getting winter. It's starting to get 30 degrees. We had the warm stint, but I needed to find something that would not, you know, freeze or fail in the cold weather, because that depends with paint and stuff like that. So I was out in 40-degree weather and painting out there at night, and it ended up working out, and it's because of the paint professionals at Colorize. Absolutely. And Greg, he's excited. He said, come on in, brother. He wants to accept you as a Buffalo Bills fan possibly here, Joe. So come on home.
I made a joke with my uncle today because he's a Bills fan.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I might change colors.
It's a New York team right now, so why not go with it, right?
We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Absolutely. So, we're talking about the things that are going on around the NFL.
Craziness.
Keep this stuff out there. Again, New Year's resolutions. Some of the best gifts you got this year for Christmas. How was your Christmas out there? But right now, here, another headline sitting right now. Taylor Heineke is being benched now. Also, after his play the last game here, and we are going to see Carson Wentz again, Joe, to start. Now he's going to start against Cleveland here. How's that going to work out?
We already know how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
Listen,
right.
I talked to a Washington Commander fan today, and he was just so dejected. Like, he was like, why? Why would we turn to a guy that was losing games for us, gets injured, and then here comes Taylor Heineke and wins games for us to put us back into contention, to put us back on the right path, to possibly make the playoffs? They're right there. They could just lock it up. I think if they win, I think if Washington wins this game, I think they're in. I'm not 100% sure, but like I know the Giants are.
The Giants
need to win,
they're
and they're in.
So they might knock out the Commanders if the Giants win because they're right around.
Because right now, I thought they're still in the wild card, like even
they're
Washington. So, but yeah, like I mean, and that's the thing is like now you decide now, like okay, Ron Rivera, like what are you doing, bro? Like this is a poor decision. You're taking a guy who's been winning you games that got you right back in the hunt. And now you're going to say, oh, well, Wentz, we're going to give him another shot at the end of the season when so much is on the line. Like, this guy has not proven anything but lose. Make bad decisions in games. Turn the ball over. Now you're going back to that? Oh, man, I got to say, if Carson Wentz goes in to start, exactly. And that's probably my friend there that was like, But my thing too is if you make this decision now, you have to pay for it because if Carson Wentz goes in and then you lose the next 2 games or even just next week and then you're out, Ron Rivera, you got to be held accountable. Ron Rivera, you deserve to get fired now. Because it's been several years you've been with this franchise. You keep turning over different quarterbacks saying this is the guy that's going to get us over the hump, and it doesn't work out year in and year out.
Perhaps, again, I think there's a different questions here with Ron Rivera, and depending on what's going on with the quarterbacks. Paul Matty says, why doesn't Heineke have a Heineken endorsement deal yet? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. That is a good question, too, as well, man.
Very good question.
That one? It seems like it's right there in the name. It's there.
It's so easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But Ron Rivera, again, remember when, when he was defending Carson Wentz before. He's like, I'm the one that went out and we had to go, said we had to go get him and stuff like that. But then in the midst of everything, you already had a Taylor Heineke, which is kind of your guy you brought from Carolina before, and he was working out for you. But then when you made the switch, it was working again.
Yeah,
the team was behind him, all the players. It seemed like it was the right move. Now when it gets to, that's the question about it right now. That's what, like you said, if you're still mathematically you're in for the playoffs, that's got to kind of be your incentive right now. So this kind of seems to me.
And what's the reason to make the switch?
It almost seems now that maybe upper management is going into this. This seems like an ownership thing. Like,
no,
hey,
I don't think so.
We went and did this trade to go get this guy. He's healthy now. He's not out there. I went and did this. I want to see what we have with this. Is this something we're going to move with moving forward? Because we've had Taylor Heineke there.
I don't think it's front office.
So I don't know, man, because it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. But neither did the McDaniels benching Carr. Like that's their decision.
Because it's not like he's changing the quarterback now to help save his job. You think Carson Wentz is going to save his job?
No,
right
he's
now?
not going to save his job. But that's why I'm saying it's not ownership. Ownership only comes down and says like, hey.
Well, that's why I think it might be just because it's not like a Ron Rivera. Like, what's the point?
It's not because ownership, they love winning games. That means they make more money because more ticket sales, more merchandise gets sold, morale goes up, all of that. But they've been winning games with Taylor Heineke. So the front office is not going to come down
right now. But yeah.
But nothing big.
No.
But like they're
not
going to
kind of in that Giants game. Now the NFL has openly said, "Oh yeah, by the way,
they admitted they screwed up."
I like how they do that too. A week after, thanks, I feel better about it. It's still a loss.
Thanks for the apology, by the way. That doesn't change anything in the game. But as far as the front office goes, they're not going to come down now. It's the last couple games of the season. They're not going to make this call now. Yeah. It doesn't matter. They've already seen Wentz. Front ownership was probably happy that he got injured because now Heineke comes in and he starts winning games for you. So this, to me, is just purely a coaching decision. This is definitely Ron Rivera because Ron Rivera wanted Wentz. Ron Rivera is sticking behind Wentz to back him up. And when you now Wentz is healthy and you're like, well, he is our starter, and I have all the support on Carson Wentz. Wentz, get back in there. This is not being smart. This is actually, and we talked about this off air, ego. We talked about how this kind of can lead to some poor decision-making because your way is better than my way, and this is the way that I want it to be done, so this is the way we're going to do it. And this, to me, is showing for Ron Rivera, he's not thinking right now. He's not thinking smart right now. Yes, you lost a couple of games back to back and all that, but it's nothing that Taylor Heineke can't handle. He's done it before and come back and win games. So, and he, to me, and probably to you, gives them the best option to win games. Not Wentz. We've already seen what he could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Matty says Ron Rivera is a modern-day Marvin Lewis. There you go.
I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, that what I said was fucking stupid.
That's good. I like that, Paul. Great job.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? It's and again, you talk about terrible
It's nuts,
franchises.
dude. I can't
maybe,
believe this.
again, this is just what this whole thing is.
This doesn't make sense. None of these things make sense except for Denver firing Hackett. That does make sense. But like as far as the quarterbacks go, man, I can't believe the Commanders are making this decision and putting Wentz in now. This late, listen, and this is the thing, is Wentz has not played in a long time. So now that you're going to kind of throw him into the Wolves, this guy didn't have much chemistry or a lot with the receivers that are out there now. This offense has been running extremely smoothly with Heineke at the quarterback position.
That's the thing. It doesn't
Why would
make
you
sense.
change it now, put in Wentz, and now it's like you're starting over again, trying to figure things out. So Washington, this is a terrible move. Raiders, you're doing a terrible thing. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's crazy right now. The headlines
Now I'm
that
out
are
of
popping
coffee.
up this week here with this quarterback situations here with the last remaining weeks of the season, Joe. And it's kind of funny because we thought about when we were going over this thing here because we're doing our picks competition and everything too, and we're like, seriously, this is week 17. Normally, a
lot of
few
changes
years
can happen,
ago, this is the last week.
And you would
there's a lot of
bench your
fantasy
starters.
Playoffs going on right now and championships coming up. So it's getting nuts. But we got 2 more weeks here, and then it's playoff time, baby.
Yeah,
it's kicking in.
true.
And we're going to see some of these teams that can make a push here. There's a lot of teams on the bubble. It's really close. We'll be having that up in the next couple episodes, probably in the new coming year with some of that stuff in the playoff picture and wild card. And who knows? That'd be cool if my Giants are in it, man. It's pretty interesting. I never thought that at week 17 right now I'd be talking about maybe potentially the Giants being in the playoffs right now with what they have.
Congratulations, bro.
Right?
This is a
It's
team.
amazing.
Listen, this is a team that honestly, if you really thought about it and you looked at the roster, we didn't think they were going to even have a chance for playoffs.
Right.
We thought like, okay, let's see some improvement. That's all we wanted to see.
Yeah, let's see
new
what we have out of
coaching
the coaching
staff,
staff, yeah.
new personnel. Let's see if they can improve from what they were last year. And they definitely did that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, a lot more things to talk about here with that, Joe. But before we get into our picks competition, why don't you tell everybody about our friends here at Mohawk Honda?
Mohawk Honda. These guys are great. Listen, if you need to buy a car, if you need to even sell your car, a lot of times you can go to our boys at Mohawk Honda, and they can help you get more value than what you would normally get for your vehicle. Not to mention, let's just say, they know a little bit about negotiating. They can help you guys out. Any kind of questions you have, about the different vehicles that they have in their inventory, they're happy to help you guys out. Go down there, see our boy Scott Moynihan, the GM, everybody down there, Greg Johnson. All those guys are down there to help you guys. All the staff are great. They make buying a vehicle extremely easy to buy, almost seamless. Head down there and listen. Now's the time, just like any other. Like it's winter up here in the Northeast. Now's the time to go and maybe buy that Ridgeline. Go ahead and buy that Pilot. Go ahead and buy that Passport. Like those 4-wheel drive vehicles to get you through the winter. It's almost a necessity sometimes. But head on down there, Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you guys.
That's right. That's right, Mohawk Honda. We love our family at Mohawk Honda. Joe, Christmas time, too, they're always giving, too. They have all kinds of donation things to go on and things. They're always posting on social medias, but we love them. So, yeah, Joe, it's the picks competition. It is
now.
It is getting close.
Week
Here it is.
17 already, guys.
Yeah, I gained the game back, and then I lost it again. So, here we go. 2 games down, but we have one. Here you are, 149.87 and 2. I'm 147.89 and 2.
Yes, sir.
We do count ties here. A lot of people have asked about that
Yes, I know that's been a hot topic.
on Facebook and
you-
stuff. And
And I want to ask that for anybody that's still in here. Like, let me ask you guys: do you whenever you do picks or whatever, like, do you count the ties of games as wins, losses, or just a straight up draw?
Yeah, let us know there in the comments. Absolutely.
Because that was a pretty hot topic, that episode. When that got brought up, everybody was kind of chiming in.
Yeah, they were. It was funny, the difference that we got from a different bunch of people. And Nathaniel, I almost said
McQuirt.
Nathaniel Hackett, Nathaniel McQuirt.
Yeah.
He said that he counts even ties as just losses. I'm like,
Okay,
which I
so
don't get,
Paul says that he counts it
just
as a draw, as a
Yeah,
tie.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know, and that's the thing too is we also count it, Paul, as a tie. We just count it as a tie. So like whenever we do our picks, if it's a tie, it's a tie. We know that some guys think that it should be counted as a loss, but it's like, why? You didn't lose and you didn't win.
Yeah, I don't get that either,
So-
too. I always see it's a win or it's a draw. But yeah, here we go. This is what it's for here. This thing's full
Oh,
of
there
liquor.
she is.
That's what it is. Like you see the
boy.
size of it compared to my hand and my head. It is very large. I lost last year. I drank this thing. Joe lost a few times, so we're there. So it's going to be close again. It's going to be very
Couple
interesting.
times.
A lot of people like the drinking show.
They do.
Out there. It's a lot of fun. I'm sporting my Phil Mickelson look right now, Joe. I got my hat and I got my longer
yes.
hair going on in the back. I've been growing
It's
my
the
hair
wrong
out.
season, bro.
Yeah, I know, right?
I
It
mean,
is the
unless
wrong
you're
season
down
right now,
south.
but
If you're down
Yeah.
south, you could probably pull it off. He goes, a tie is like sex with a rubber.
Oh my shit!
Are y'all fucking serious right now? Like, is this for real?
Oh, Paul, you're a funny
Paul's
dude,
got it
bro.
all tonight, buddy. He's got it all.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Paul,
Yeah,
so
man.
glad you're here.
Yeah, buddy. Oh man,
That is
Sex
funny.
with- Has he been? He's got to be
Listen.
drinking tonight.
Listen, if are you not entertained? Do us a huge favor. If you're new to the show, help us out. Search us
down
up
on your
anywhere.
knees and tell me you love me.
Anywhere you search us by, over on YouTube. Football on the No Show. Once you get there, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, let you guys know when we go live. And as well, you can also take us on the road with you. Anywhere you go, anywhere you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Make sure you hit a follow. Help us grow this football community. And if you want to be interactive, you know what you got to do. You got to head over to Facebook or YouTube, become a member, become a know-it-all, drop the comments down below. Number one NFL talk show that's interactive.
He says Foster's Big Can. Foster's. I haven't had Foster's in a while.
yeah.
I was rather upset when somebody, I think, told me that it's not really Australian beer.
It's
or
not
something
really,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, they're like, really upset when you go to Australia.
They
and you
lied
have
to me.
Foster's, you know. That is one of the things that is funny when you go to certain countries and you learn their things, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure
about that stuff.
I know down like Mexico, Puerto
Yeah, we
Rico,
go, yeah, with the
like
Coronas
up
are
here,
not their
Corona
deal.
is like a big thing, but down there it's not Corona. It's not
Yeah.
even called Corona. It's called Sol.
Yeah.
It's SOL. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what they drink down there.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, here we go. Picks competition. We showed you the thing. It's 2 games behind here. Let's get the music
let's go.
rocking and rolling
Let's
here.
get-
But we
let's
got
get into
tomorrow
this.
night's game here, Joe. And it's
Anybody
the
that's
Cowboys in
anybody
Tennessee.
that's still
Yikes.
hanging around, make sure you guys put your picks right in the comment section down below as we go.
All right, so Dallas, Tennessee.
Yeah, this is a
still,
shocker.
now they're going to be without Derrick Henry, but still without Ryan Tannehill, and you see the difference there. I thought they might have done enough here with Malik Willis, but just couldn't get it done. But Dallas,
They looked.
they're
I'll
looking
say
pretty good
this.
right now, so I'm
you
gonna
know,
go with them.
with Malik Willis and Derrick Henry, they did a better job this time around. You know, kind of like managing the game for Willis and not asking too much of him. But again, we all know he still needs further development. He's not ready yet. So maybe another off season. Maybe let's see what happens next year.
Yep. So I've got the Dallas Cowboys in this one.
Yeah, I mean, for this one, it's going to be pretty easy. You don't have Derrick Henry. You don't have Ryan Tannehill. You got a rookie basically trying to take over and help run the team. It's not going to be enough for me, even though it is in Tennessee. I got the Cowboys.
All right. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals and the Atlanta Falcons. Man, what to take out of this one? Again, it's just because the teams are just. Yeah, they're not in win mode right now. So, what do you get out of this whole thing?
And that's the thing too. Is I think what was it? I think it was a Cardinal game that it kind of got brought up. I don't know who was calling the game, but they kind of brought it up and said, so what do you expect from these two teams that aren't really necessarily like the Cardinals aren't necessarily in for anything. They're not playing for anything, But you know what? The guy said, listen, they're all still getting paid. They're all still getting paid to play and to win games. So they're there and they're playing, and it's for pride, really. No one ever likes to lose. So, of course, they're all going to be playing to win. So this game right here is both teams don't have nothing to play for, but both are going to try to win. The Cardinals, to me, it sounds like, I did like how they played last week. They were close. They had the game, I thought, and they faltered at the end. But Atlanta, with a rookie quarterback who's still trying to find his way, they're missing some players on the offensive line and everything. So for me, I'm going to go with Arizona on this one.
All right. It's tough because you're getting a Desmond Ridder, you're getting a Trace McSorley.
No, you're not getting
right?
Trace.
No,
you're getting
no.
Colt McCoy.
Oh, Colt McCoy's going to be back. So that's a big decider then for me because Colt McCoy, when he's even in, that he's just a little more sturdy of a quarterback.
He's efficient.
He's been there. Greg Schreiner, he says Cowboys in the Cowboys game, and Paul Matty says Falcons.
Oh, gotcha.
Schreiner, he says Falcons to himself he's leaning on. But I think I'm going to go with Joe, and we're going to lean to the Arizona side on this one.
We're visiting.
Yeah, there we go. This year we can't do too many home games
right.
here. Chicago Bears. Again, they've been putting up a fight for these past couple of weeks here, but
Different.
This is going to be a close one here with these guys getting divisional rival Detroit. They've been playing really well too and really putting the offense out there. It's nice to see them getting this, to see what we can kind of expect of what this offense could be here with the weapons that they end up picking up in the draft and things. So
right.
But Chicago just doesn't have enough right now. Detroit rocking and reeling, especially here at home. This will be a tighter game because it's
going to be close,
a divisional game. But I'm going to lean on Detroit on this one.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this is Chicago is not very healthy right now. They're beat up on the offensive line. They're missing some guys. As of right now, there's like 3 O-linemen that I believe haven't practiced yet this week. Obviously, you're going to have to monitor it as it gets closer to the end. But this is also a team that, when they're healthy, at times Fields looks pretty good, especially when he uses his legs. It gives him kind of another dimension in an offense that kind of opens up everything. But with Chicago, with kind of missing some key players on defense, with missing guys on offense, not really sure how many of those guys are going to be able to return by the end of the week. Detroit, which was once a very hot team, ends up losing last week in a very disappointing loss. Detroit at home. I'm going with the Lions and Jared Goff in this one.
Here, Greg says, I like Detroit to bite kneecaps. Paul Matty likes Detroit too as well. So here we go. We're on the Detroit train.
Oh, geez. Right. Next one should be easy.
Oh, here. Denver Broncos and Kansas City Chiefs here.
And yes, Kansas City is still playing for something. They are still trying to get that number one seed that keeps eluding them. They're hoping the Bills kind of trip up and lose a game. So then if they could win, they might be able to leapfrog them. So, yes, they're still playing for something. Denver, not so much.
Yeah.
Denver, it sounds like Russell Wilson is still going to start. They didn't decide to bench him. So,
have they even decided an interim coach at this point, too, for these guys, for the Broncos? Even announced, but
it's a nobody. I don't know. It's one of the
it's
staff members. Like it's not one of the guys that work.
Equipment manager.
It's not. They didn't call up Jeff Saturday's cousin and say, "Hey, you want to come head coach for us?"
Guy who had a beer with Peyton Manning.
Yeah, right.
He
was at a bar one time at McGeary's, I think, and he sounded like he knew a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway. Denver, Kansas City. This is easy. I'm going to go Kansas. Kansas City is not only home, but they're also
and they got something to play for.
They got something to play for. They're going to easily win this game. I don't think. Now, when I say easily, it is a divisional game. We've seen this game happen before, where Denver actually played right with them, and remarkably was within a touchdown of possibly changing everything and actually upsetting Kansas City. So, but I still believe in Kansas City is going to be the difference.
All right, here we got the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. This is a really good matchup. I like this matchup just because, again, New England's still in the mix of things. Miami on that downhill turn, but they do have Tua in the concussion protocol here, which kind of makes this game less appetizing.
He's ruled out.
The whole thing.
He's just ruled out.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's bad for them just because, again, that would have been the matchup here to see with these guys here.
Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starter.
And he's been sufficient for them at times. games, though.
He's
too.
been okay.
He's looked okay for him, but this is a tough one. It's tough to fight here in New England, but New England, again, really the miscues here with that the offense, the way it's been. They try and rely on their defense, but their defense has been a bit leaky the last week or so. How about Mac Jones? And Eli Apple called him a dirty player, and stuff. And you see the video of him taking them out or taking out the legs of guys.
Yep.
I can see that, I guess, though too. But I mean, anything to win, though. He's one of those competitive dudes.
He gives everything he's got. And he doesn't back down from nothing. So any challenge, he's all up for it. This game is definitely interesting, but I would be more towards Miami if they had Tua. And I actually would give them a legitimate shot of beating the Patriots again. But in this New England game, because they don't have Tua, because pretty much Patriots are pretty healthy. Like, they have still a few banged up bodies, but they are the healthier team, in my view. So I'm going to go with New England to kind of beat the Dolphins at home and keep their playoffs dreams alive.
Wow. Paul Matty or Greg Schreiner goes with the Pats too as well. I really want to go with New England, but I just got a feeling that maybe Teddy Bridgewater gets it done with the weapons that he has here. But I think I'm going to they don't win in the cold weather, though. That's the thing, too, with Mike McDaniels. He's wearing that T-shirt here. He's like, oh, I like it colder. I wish it were colder. They don't win in any of these things. So
you gotta love
that might
that.
make my decision here for me, actually. So, because, again, they usually still win away from the Patriots at home in the warm weather. They're going to the cold weather. I'm going to go with the Patriots then, too, as well. Why not? All right, the Colts here and the Giants here. This is an interesting game, too, because the Giants win. They're in. Colts, again, they could play spoiler here a little bit here, but they've been in some tight games here. What's up, Joe?
Teacher.
Yes.
I have a question. Why did the Colts start Nick Foles?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
that's why.
And I'll tell you right now, if you watch that game and how pitiful it was against the Chargers, Nick Foles, to me, after the first half, was an easy decision to bench. The guy went 1 for 7. 1 for 7. He could not move the offense. He couldn't even score points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you had Sam Ellinger kind of waiting. Is it my time? Is it my time? And the funny thing was, even Troy Aikman and Joe Buck were like, hey, so what do you think about maybe giving a shot to Sam Ellinger here? The camera kept panning to him. I'm like, yes,
when are you gonna go to him?
You could possibly save this game if you put him in the second half. And Jeff Saturday, I don't know what this is why he'll never be a head coach again. So questionable, decision with Nick Foles, who happened to be the third string quarterback, mind you, to leapfrog Matt Ryan, bench him. It was just crazy. So because of Jeff Saturday's decisions, because how poorly the Colts are playing, I'm not buying. I cannot fathom Nick Foles starts again. But if he does, I think the Giants are all in on getting this win because they need the win to lock it in for the playoffs. So I got the Giants at home in this one.
Greg says G-Ben Dable has them playing ahead of schedule.
Absolutely.
That is correct.
Yeah. And I mean, I hope as a Giants fan, again, the way I've been doing the picks with these guys, I've been picking against them. So hopefully they win.
I get
and they
it.
lose, which it works. It ended up working the last time, too, when they played at 6:05. But I think I'm going to roll with the Giants on this one because, and hopefully that doesn't change things for them.
I got to say this. There is a player that you guys just signed off a practice squad from the Lions, and Gerard Davis, linebacker.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
I really like that signing. This is a guy, I don't know, for whatever reason, he's bounced around a couple teams, but he definitely has potential. So,
and they had the spot there because, to release Tate Crowder. They don't have him there anymore, and he wasn't playing very well for them at all. It's sad because even Jalen Smith has been doing well for them.
And you'll like this. Adoree Jackson has practiced limited. So Azeez Al-Jalari, who got drafted, he's limited. Leonard Williams, this is kind of a tricky situation. He did practice limited, but it was a neck injury he had sustained last week. Yeah. That's dangerous, man. Like, I hope it's a very minor issue and it was only kind of like a kink or something, but they got to be careful with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, again, when you see a guy like, so one of those quarterbacks like Nick Foles or somebody in there, even Sam Ellinger, and the way they like to blitz, that hopefully that would help out for them and get this defense getting some turnovers to help that offense out. The New Orleans Saints now and the Philadelphia Eagles here. Philadelphia played really well against a Dallas team. New Orleans, I don't think, has the caliber that the Dallas Cowboys have. But there seems like they're starting to turn the corner a little bit here for that team, but just they're not there yet. I'm going to go with Philadelphia at home at this one to lock in their number one spot.
Yeah, exactly. And they definitely want to.
That's what they want to do too.
Gardner Minshew is as of right now, he looks like he's on pace to start. There's no clarification yet of Jalen Hurts or saying like, it's kind of like a wait and see thing. He has a chance to play Sunday. But if he doesn't, it'll be Minshew as the quarterback yet again. I think it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really
as
matter,
much.
I think. Right.
It does matter, but it doesn't matter as much if Hurts doesn't play. This is a team that is built to win now. This is a team that can rally around Gardner. We've seen it last week, and I'll say what it is. Last week, I put the blame on the defense for the Eagles. I didn't think they didn't get it done.
Yeah.
When your offense scores 30 or more points, damn near 40.
Right.
Your defense should do their job, and then you should get the win, but they didn't. So Saints come into town. Listen, they had a great week last week. They played better than people thought. And listen, we called it. We definitely called it last week. We said we need to see more Taysom Hill.
Yep.
And that's what we got last week.
And see the difference, right?
Running the ball with him, using him in RPOs, like. They mixed it up more, and they got more success out of it. But this week, I think, is where it stops. So I'm going to go with Philly.
All right. Oh, now we're getting a lot of home teams here again, Joe. Here we're picking.
Don't worry. The next one, I'm going to take Carolina.
There you go. Carolina and Tampa Bay. Yeah.
This is a game that if the Panthers win, they open up this whole. They could possibly win the division.
Well, get it open for them.
But they got it. But they have to win this game because this is crucial. If they don't, then Tampa Bay, I believe, will lock the division.
Again, Tampa Bay has been playing poorly, though. Yeah, I get it. And then Carolina, they're kind of up and down. It seemed like they've got a bit of a spark since Sam Darnold's been in there and stuff.
And here's a crazy thing:
playing with house money right now.
So here's scary though. Remember Ryan Jensen? People thought he might be done for the year. Well, it looks like he might be returning to practice, and he might be coming off IR. He might be ready to go, and if he is, that is a huge addition to the interior of the O-line. Your quarterback of the offensive line, who's going to be able to call, the pass protection plays that you need to and get it right the first time. Even if that happens, though. Holy smokes, they got a laundry list of injuries this week. A lot of guys are still practicing, but nonetheless, they are injuries. It looks like their whole defensive secondary is hurt and banged up. Their D-line is banged up. And even on offense, Cade Otton, the rookie, he had a quad injury, but looks like he'll play. Donovan Smith, like your two tackles, basically, that have foot and ankle issues. Julio Jones with a knee. So I don't think it's, coming into this week, they're going to be okay in terms of injury. I think they're all going to play because they know what it means. But Carolina is no slouch now that they have Sam Darnold. We've seen Sam Darnold in this offense and look at last week. They ran their butts off and were doing it very well. Carolina, I think if their defense can step up, I think they got a legitimate shot of beating Tampa. But again, you can't be like the Rams. You can't be like these teams that kind of get ahead early, and then as the game gets to a close, you let up. You can't let it do that. So if the Panthers keep their foot on the gas pedal, I think Panthers will win this game.
All right. Joe's going to go with the Panthers here. I hear you on that one, too, but I think just to be different and try and possibly get a game back on this one in this decider, I think I'm going to go with the Buccaneers on this one, and hopefully Tom Brady can have one of those fantastic comebacks.
Probably not.
Yeah, but we'll see. The Cleveland Browns here and the Washington Commanders.
Oh, I already know what I'm picking.
This is the game, right?
Yeah,
so I think I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns on this one to bounce back after their loss. And, I think we're going to see Wentz, trying too much, trying to scramble her out, creating fumbles, turnovers, frustration. And how interesting would it be, or funny even, if they, too, pull him out of the game and go back to Wentz or Heineke during the game? I mean, that would be hilarious.
Listen, I think
But
he should.
It could happen. Maybe
If
again,
anything-
it is when you're talking about playoffs implications.
If anything, he should have a short leash.
should do it.
It should be the first half to see where you're at on offense.
Right.
If you can't get it done, then put in Heineke in the second half and let's see what. Listen, he's done. He's pulled off some pretty big wins and comeback wins before.
so, are you going Cleveland on this one? Or are you going?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going
I
Cleveland.
thought so okay.
If Wentz is going to be the starter, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Like it. But I would say if Heineke somehow became the starter, then I would have easily taken the Commanders. I really believe in this team. Like if Heineke is the
with
quarterback.
the way they are. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars
Oh,
and
Jesus.
the Houston Texans. Jags have been playing better now, and it seems like
Oh my God, dude! This
they're
is a
turning
crazy
the corner
game.
a little bit here, too. But Houston again
Oh.
pulls out that victory against the Titans here.
That was
but-
close, though. That was.
Oh,
a close
it
one.
was, man. That was one of the ones I was hoping to get on that one, but this is an unwatchable game for me. I'm like, I could care less with this one, who wins with this one. So, but I think it's going to be close. But man, Houston at home still with the way that they've been playing, that's tough. I'm going to go with Jacksonville on this one, though. Why not? I'm going to go with the Jags on this one.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, remember when we were talking about the Jaguars and how, like, Trevor Lawrence when he's the starter, their offense is
Difference.
kind of clicking, and it's working. And we saw that, in this Jaguars team, and they're a team that's really playing. Listen, they got something to play for. They got to play for this division, and they got to maintain the number one spot in the division. So they definitely need this game, and against a Houston team that is actually a surprisingly competitive team. Yes, they're not winning games, but if you watch the games, you can see that they're in every single one. But I'm not a fan of the whole rotational quarterback thing. I don't know where Lovie Smith got this, and
It's a Texan thing. It's got to be because it's happened throughout the franchise.
Isn't every bad decision like a Texan thing now?
could be.
That could be a shtick.
Yeah.
It just could stick
could
there.
be.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. Visiting Houston, I do like Houston direction if they get rid of Lovie Smith and upgrade their team. But the Jaguars, I think they're farther ahead, and they're going to get it done here.
All right, next we've got the 49ers and the Vegas Raiders here. Jared
San
Stidham getting
Fran.
to start. This one's an easy one here, too. San Fran, just because the funny thing is, too, this is what I don't get, because your team defense is the problem, too. Not very good. So what's Jared Stidham going to do for you on offense that's really going to elevate you to a win on this one? I don't think he's going to. So, San Francisco against his defense, you're throwing him into the wolves at this point. Like, I don't get that, but... All right, San Francisco. You like San Francisco, Joe? All right, next let's move on to the Jets and
There's
Seattle.
not much to say
now,
on
this
that one.
is an interesting one. Some people have asked me about this one. What
Oh,
do you
yeah,
think?
okay.
There's been debate on this, too, in local radio, too, because we are stationed here in New York. People sizing the Jets defense against what this offense possibly could be here. But some truths here out of it. Kenneth Walker III has been banged up, and he hasn't been able to run like he was at a time to get this offense going. That's going to be the key here, because I think if he's able to get it going here and get the running game going for this team, then Seattle's got a really good chance to win this, especially being at home. That could be a decider for them. But the Jets, Mike White getting the start for them now too, which is plays better in their
More
hand.
efficient.
Yeah,
He's more
absolutely.
efficient.
And that defense, they've been doing well too. If it wasn't just for even that last minute against Detroit here, giving up that touchdown, that's a whole different situation too. So they haven't really been giving up a whole lot of points. So this is going to be a low-scoring game by two teams that still are on the bubble to try and
need to
do
win.
something here and still need it drastically. But for me, again, oh man, I might just side with Seattle because they're at home. Because again, they're just that much tougher there. But again, you can't deny what Mike White does with those weapons that he has there too, on top of it with that defense. But I think I'm going to take Seattle here. I guess
It's not an easy
tough.
pick. It really isn't.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle home. But again, Jets very impressed. I would not be surprised. If
I
they
would
lose
not.
big
Yeah,
here.
we would not be shocked if the Jets end up pulling off the win. But again, it's whenever you get to these game situations where like both teams are kind of evenly matched, and at the same time, one team is home and plays well. Listen, Seattle this is their bread and butter. Seattle, the 12th man.
Yeah.
The Jets
really,
team is going to hear
Seattle
it.
a lot of times just because they're home.
And it is. It's a factor. It really is a factor. Like when you go into a hostile environment versus an environment that's like, it's okay. It does make a difference. So I'm going with Seattle just based on that.
Yep.
If this was in New York, I'd probably pick the Jets.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. That's what I asked when I was talking about it. I'm like, where is it? I'm like, nope. Okay, Seattle. All right, next we got the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. This is a divisional type matchup. I think that's be close to with the Green Bay, if they stick to the formula that they've been even doing too, is run the football, get efficient that way, then make those more accurate throws, that gets some chains moving here. But really now they've can't do the fancy throw and stuff, whatever. You don't have that threat. Even though, Christian Watson is good at times, but still showing, that rookie part to him about, not getting to the ball, drops here and there. It's good that they've got, Dobbs back too, which is good for them. But they really got to rely on these three running backs here that they have here and get this running game going. It opens up the passing game, and they can make things happen here. Minnesota, they live dangerously by these close games.
They really do, yeah.
So I would not be surprised if Green Bay steals a victory here. Do I dare say that? Steal a victory from the Vikings here at home. At Green Bay, Lambeau Field, it's going to be cold. They're going to like the energy here, but they need to run the ball efficiently, and that defense needs to stop Justin Jefferson. That's it. Adam Thielen, he can get it done at times here too,
not
but
gonna happen.
He's just not the guy. But that's what they got to try and do. That's the game plan. But you know what? I like their options here. I think Vikings are due for a loss. They've been living dangerously too long. I like the Green Bay Packers in this one at home.
One, they will never stop Justin Jefferson, and it doesn't even matter if they put their best corner on him, Jair Alexander, because he's just too good at running routes. He is one of the best route runners in football, and it's not even close. Like, it's amazing how well he runs his routes. So, and that's why he gets open a lot. Going against Green Bay, and this is the thing, Green Bay last week was kind of a little bit of a sieve in the pass defensive game. They gave up a lot in the air, and I look for that to continue. I think this is not only going to be one of these kind of like back and forth games, like high scoring games, but also it's going to come down to the end. And I think it's going to be one of these like classic Vikings versus Packers type of game where it's Rodgers with the ball last, and let's see if the Vikings can stop him. And I think in the end, Green Bay somehow, some way is going to edge them out.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. Here we go. You have amazing setups, by the way, when you do these things. Sometimes I'm thinking you're going one way, but then at the end, you just hook it right out there.
That's
and then
right.
You bring it back to another one.
I like to change it up.
I like it.
And I will say this, though, too, is the Green Bay Packers have never been healthier this week. David Bakhtiari's returning, so they get their left tackle. Elton Jenkins, who they just re-signed, long-term extension, locked him up, their other tackle. So things are looking good in Green Bay
All
right
right,
now.
just a couple more games here now, too. We've got the Rams against the Chargers here. Rams, again, with a big blowout win here, but I think that's a smokescreen at this point. The Chargers, they secure a playoff spot here now, Joe, so now they're going to be in the playoffs. So do they have anything to play for in this one? Are they going to sit some of these guys? Are they going to play still?
Oh, no, they got to play.
So
no, they ain't sitting nobody.
Do, right now, again, I think they're still a better team than what the Rams are, even though Baker Mayfield's been doing all right. But one thing we've kind of seen, and this is kind of odd, I've talked about it with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's like if the Dallas Cowboys ran their team as if Dak Prescott wasn't there, but then Dak Prescott is there, they would be better. I think the Rams, the same thing. It seems like they're running the ball more just because they don't want to put too much on Baker Mayfield, so they want to try and stay balanced. They're a better team now. They finally ran, Joe. I mean, it's amazing. Cam Akers finally had some yardage, and it was doing okay. I'm like, why couldn't they do this before?
They've been doing it since Baker took over because
Right.
the offense, he's just trying to learn it on the go.
Right.
So they have to run more.
But it seems like they're better now. Is like, why weren't they trying to do this all along?
What it is Baker's starting to get more comfortable with the playbook. So they're able to change certain plays that kind of opens up this run. And that's something that they've always had. But to be honest with you, Cam Akers is not a great running back. He's not a good running back in my eyes. And this is kind of why the Rams were kind of iffy on keeping him or not.
Stay or not.
So ran it. I mean, yeah, he's getting yards now and stuff like that, but it's because of Baker Mayfield's presence as a guy that's kind of like not necessarily a dual threat quarterback, but more of a guy who's unpredictable with what he's going to do with the ball. And I think it plays well into Sean McVay's offense. He's able to kind of manipulate the defense sometimes with Baker Mayfield being at the quarterback position, unlike Stafford, which everybody knows he ain't running.
Yeah,
he ain't doing anything with the ball. He's just going to drop back and throw. So I think this is kind of playing into the Rams' offense and is actually making their offense run better despite not having Cooper Kupp and other players. So,
yeah. I mean, but it's funny too. Both teams at home, technically.
Yeah,
but I think there'll be more Raiders fans there still.
Both teams are home, and neither of them have fans. So this should be interesting to see who wins the home battle here.
Right. But I like the Chargers in this one again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% in on the Chargers yet. I don't know what to expect from this week. Not going to have Derwin James, it seems like. He spearheaded.
Oh, I know.
Did you see that hit?
I did.
He literally.
I enjoyed that hit.
He lowered the crown of his helmet into the side of the receiver.
That could have been your decapitation of the week.
And not only I don't do that shit. That's cheap shit. Yeah. That's not a hit, bro. You can't do that. So and the craziest thing is like after he gets ejected, he's literally complaining the whole way walking to the locker room. Like, no, I hit him on my shoulder. No, you didn't, dude.
Yeah, I gotta know. I thought his shoulder went down, but then his crown of his helmet was down too. If he went head up and shoulder the way he did, he was looking to kill the guy.
110% speared him.
Yeah, he was looking to kill the guy. So I mean, but I enjoyed it. It was what a
Rams
hit.
Chargers. Listen, Chargers can't stop the run, and what we just talked about.
So you like the Rams?
Cam Akers, they're going to run the ball more. They're finding different ways and unique ways to get the ball into Tyler Higbee's hands. But the Rams, I got to say, this is one of the most unpredictable teams this year.
Yeah.
Like last week, I didn't think the Rams had a shot, and they end up blowing out the other team. So I think this game, it could go either way, to be honest. So I got the Rams in this one.
All right, he's going with the Rams in this one. All right, next we got the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens here. Pittsburgh.
Oh, good game. At night, baby. They got it right.
Yeah, they got one
flexed
of these
this
Sunday
game,
nights.
by the way.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Sunday night games here.
This definitely means a lot for sure for both teams.
Yeah, Pittsburgh high off that win here last week with everything, pride. And they're remembering Franco Harris. They had the the immaculate reception and things. Baltimore, just getting by again too, with injuries that they have here too. So they're going to be tougher to play against at home though. So I think Pittsburgh, they've been doing enough to win. It was an emotional win last week. I don't think they have enough here to.
Yeah, they definitely shouldn't have won last week.
I got Baltimore in this one.
Yeah, this one, and this is interesting too. Like, I'm still waiting to hear news on Lamar Jackson. Is he close to coming back? Because now is about that timetable that they had where he could return.
Yeah,
like 1 to 3 weeks. Well, we're going into the third week, so are you going to hold him out longer? Like, you guys need to keep winning. So it'll be interesting to see game time if that kind of comes out. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. But even if he doesn't, Baltimore is a tough place to play. It is not very easy, and Pittsburgh is still playing for something. They're hoping that they can kind of keep this momentum that they got going with Pickett as a quarterback. But Baltimore, I feel like this is kind of where they kind of derail Pittsburgh. I think Baltimore's defense is not only one of the better defenses in the league, it's gotten stronger with Roquan Smith in the middle. I think Baltimore gets this win.
All right, here, finally now Monday Night Football. We've got a good matchup here, finally, too, for a Monday Night Football game as well.
Exciting. Listen, they went back-to-back.
Yeah.
They got the Sunday night game good. They got Monday night kicking.
Yeah, it's good. It's right at the end of the season, getting right into playoff time, Joe. So it's cool. In the Buffalo Bills, again, they want to secure that number one spot, just like when you talked about with the Chiefs. Unfortunately for the Chiefs, it looks like they got a little easier road, at least right now. And Cincinnati's been playing really well too. At first, in the beginning of the season, started off a bit slow, trying to get some tread, but now it seems like they're rolling pretty well here too. Buffalo had a little bit of a slow spot here too, dealing with injuries, but now they're back getting some healthy guys here too. This is going to be a knockout game.
It's a great game.
And let me tell you too, I think Cincinnati, the jungle is getting to be one of those places that are harder to play in, I think. The way they are, the way the fans are there. I know you don't want to admit it to it, the way Cincinnati is, but they've kind of been getting that whole, kind of momentum. I think
Listen.
maybe since making that AFC Championship Super Bowl run.
I've always said that the Bengals fans are one of the most loyal and best fan bases there is in the football. Like, they really are. They're one of them. Because, listen, when you have a franchise, the Raiders fans know this, but when you have a franchise that loses a lot, many, many years beforehand, and you're still sticking
there.
with them, and now you're starting to win some and everything, congratulations to the Bengals fans for now sticking through it.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be tough to go out, pull out a
definitely gonna be a
win
good one.
here in the jungle.
This is a good
But
one.
again, Buffalo Bills, they're an upper seed. They're expected to try and make it there. They need to win games like this.
Yep.
And again, this is a team you're probably going to see in the playoffs again. If you look at the way the playoffs were last
Possible,
season.
for sure.
This is it. So Buffalo needs to pull out this victory. They've already got Kansas City, boom, marked off. They've taken them out before during the regular season, so they've had practice for them in the playoffs. Here's another playoff type of scenario here for them.
Right.
I like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills on this one too because I'm not a fan of losing offensive linemen, and La'el Collins, their starting right tackle, is done for the season. So that to me is a big chink in their offensive line, and I look for the Bills to expose that this week and get after Joe Burrow in passing situations. So great game. I feel like it can go either way. There's no doubt about it. Both teams are more than equipped to take on each other. But I got Buffalo going into Cincinnati and stealing the win.
There you go. Absolutely. So there's our picks
Circle
for
the
the
wagons.
week. We got the picks competition going on again. Losers got to drink that thing at the end of
That
the
thing.
season. Absolutely full of liquor. It's going to be crazy. Shout out to Obi-Wan Kenobi's in the house with us tonight.
Hey, what's going on, Obi-Wan? Have we talked about the benching of Carr yet? Yes, we actually have earlier in the show.
Yeah, but we can talk about it
And
again if you
how
wanna bring it up. Why not?
ridiculous it is.
What do you got out there, Obi-Wan? What do
Obi-Wan,
you think?
how do you
Grace
feel
us
about it?
with your presence here and your knowledge
We
here?
have talked about it. Greatly disappointed with some of these teams' decisions late in the season. You got to wonder. Like, I'm sorry. Derek Carr, and technically the Raiders are not out of it yet. Yes, they need help. Yes, they got to win out. But nonetheless, there's a chance. He goes, the force is with Carr, not with McDaniels.
There you go.
I guess that is the perfect way to sum it up. Obi-Wan, thank you,
There you go.
for your Jedi mind tricks. Thank you. Maybe you could actually do your Jedi mind tricks on Mark Davis right now and convince him to fire McDaniels. That would be great. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show, and honestly, it just doesn't make any sense for the Raiders right now. Like, I could understand if they were completely out of the playoff race and they're like, we're going to conserve Carr, we're going to sit him down, and we're going to just play the backup. You know what I mean? And play Stidham and finish out the season and keep Carr healthy.
Yeah.
That I would get. But the fact that they still have a shot and you're playing one of the best defenses in the league right now against the Niners.
Yeah.
You need everybody, all hands on deck. You
Yeah.
need everybody that is the best player on the football field. You cannot take away from that. He said, Mark Davis, this is not the head coach you're looking for. Yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. And that's the crazy thing. Is not only he's made bad decisions after bad decisions, he's been the only one calling the plays all season. And very questionably in certain situations. So for that to be said, and for when you see Nathaniel Hackett get the axe, and you look at McDaniels, and some people are scratching their heads and be like, how does this guy still have a job yet? Why isn't he gone? So a lot of people are confused about this. Not only the decision with benching Carr, but now what does that mean for the Raiders in the future? Like,
Right, because
are they moving on from
scratching
him?
situation altogether. Because again, that means his job maybe is at question here.
Mm-hmm.
But is it because of you're trusting in the head coach to make that decision now and say, all right, Josh, whatever you want,
Right.
You think Carr's not it? I'm with you. So is Mark Davis supporting everything that
Well,
Josh McDaniels
that's
is
the problem
doing
right there. Is
now?
that Mark is not a football guy. He doesn't know football like his father.
Oh yeah, I know.
So he might be easily, manipulated into thinking like, hey, yeah, no, this guy's not ours. We're going to move on from him. Okay, sure, why not?
He reminds
You know?
me of the supervillain son in
yes.
Despicable Me, doesn't he? He's totally that one. He wants to be the one, and you just can't.
He
get it.
said Carr has said many times he's executing reads exactly how McDaniels wants him to. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He has said that. He's done a phenomenal job, I think, especially for a guy who's learned multiple offenses and being able to dial in and play at a high level. What do you want? What do you want from the guy? Like, listen, everybody's going to point to this year being one of Carr's worst years ever. And, he's the reason why the Raiders. No, you don't have a very good defense. You got a couple of really good players on defense. But other than that, you don't have much of one. And we've seen the Raiders put points on the board, and then the defense can't support them and shut teams down. So this is just, it's a big mess right now in Vegas. I don't know how it's going to shake out. Hopefully, when all the smoke clears, Carr is still the franchise quarterback for next year and in the future. But there's a lot of big ifs and variables that we have to kind of wait out.
And it is, like you said, a questionable time because, again, for a new coaching staff that comes in and then you've got new players, too, like where Davante Adams has said, I came here because of Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And we still have a chance to make the playoffs, and you're basically cashing it in.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, we're checking out.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing right now?
Yeah.
So how am I going to buy in on the coaching staff if you're quitting right now?
And not to mention, remember Carr, there was a whole that in April, everyone's like, oh, are they going to move on from Carr? Is he going to be traded? And they agreed to an extension, a contract extension in April. And that was with Dave Ziegler, the GM, and Josh McDaniels there, present. They agreed to this new deal. So that's why there's a lot of confusion now with this whole scenario where they're going to bench Carr. He's not going to play. He's going to take some time, the last 2 weeks away from the team, and let's reconvene next year. What?
And now he says, Obi-Wan says, I see Rodgers coming to Vegas in this one.
I'll tell you right now, if I still think this would be a bad move because Rodgers is 37, going to be 38 next year. He's older. He's like 8 years older or something like that than Carr. So could it happen? Possibly. But again, to take Rodgers' major contract on, that's double what Carr's getting paid now. It's like double. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And on top of
me, it doesn't.
And on top of all the money you spent to Davante Adams when you brought him in, you gave him an extension. You gave Renfro an extension. You gave Darren Waller an extension. That's a lot of money on offense right now. And if you were to bring in a Rodgers now, I don't think you had. I think you have negative money at this point. So I don't think that's a logical thing to happen. They would have to do a lot of shuffling around, a lot, and it might be so much so that it kind of derails them. He goes, you have to keep Davante Adams happy. You have to keep Davante happy, but maybe that's giving McDaniels too much credit. Yeah, McDaniels, listen, we've seen it all this year. He's made bad decision after bad decision, whether it be coaching or personnel or off, whatever. I think the Raider fan base and people that are watching the Raiders have seen enough and to make their own judgments right now on McDaniels. He hasn't learned anything from Denver.
No.
He hasn't learned how to handle players, how to run a team as a head coach, and it's more than evident. Like, we've seen enough. So for Mark Davis, who's the owner, who has the final say, this is a chance for Mark Davis to kind of come to realization and say, hey, listen, I know I'm not a football guy, but I'm going to talk to a few people that I trust and get their perspective on this. And maybe the best thing to do is to, in fact, fire Josh McDaniels. Don't give him that extra year because he's already kind of tearing the team apart from the inside.
Yeah.
When you have Adams saying, hey, this is the only reason why I came here. Without Carr, you don't get Adams.
Yeah.
Without Carr, how many guys are going to want to stay on this team?
Right. And when you think of after the press conference that he broke down in tears and talk about effort that people weren't putting in and out, and that he puts out, and then asking about it and doing this.
It's passion.
And you're removing that guy from, the locker room right now because he's left. He's going to take his time off and, reevaluate things
right
as this is all going down. that's big for the locker room. And that's why, media, when they had brought, come in and asked the players how they felt about this and trying to get, a reaction to see what they thought about it.
You could just tell.
You could tell from
the
it.
Body language.
They're just like, well, we're just going through it. That's not our decision, but it is what it is at this point. But
right.
Again, when you look at it, in logical terms, when you're looking at where they are, placement to try and make something, where they are as a team in the bottom of the division or near the bottom, in a coaching staff that hasn't been doing very well, since he was a coach for the Broncos. So it just seems like that's not the right thing right now. Why not scrap it and move on from that and go behind that franchise quarterback who is basically, he's given his all out there for you and said he bleeds silver and black.
Yeah, and has also made the statement that he will not play for another team.
Mm-hmm.
And
so there goes your trade,
said,
whatever.
And
you might get your
listen,
trade value.
Yeah, and people have asked him about that whole rumor mill last year about being possibly traded. And he goes, listen, this is the only place I want to be. This is the only place I want to play. He goes, if it came down to it, I would retire. Yep. He said, I don't have to play anymore. He goes, this is the only team I want to play for. And if it's not the Raiders, I'll retire. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
they've got a lot of different decisions to make, too. Because, again, this might have implications when they talked about it, too, with the Josh Jacobs situation. Mm-hmm. Does Devontae Adams, if all of a sudden Derek Carr isn't a part of this team anymore, I want out.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Knock the door. I want out. Yep. Send me somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Then where does he go? That could turn into a whole thing. And then now... Again, does
Crazy,
Mark Davis
bro.
want something like that now?
No, and that's the thing
that's
is
a bigger situation.
Because this move right here, if in fact it is going the way we think it's going to go, it's not only a very impactful decision, but it is so devastating, I feel like, to the organization at this moment in time that it is going to derail all the momentum and all the all the
progress.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here for you.
I appreciate that, bro. All the progress that they've came up to, and it's devastating now to a fan base because not only this, you've already kind of pissed off the locker room because you can tell by their body language and how they're answering questions. They're trying not to say too much. They're trying to be careful with their words, but at the same time, you could just when you watch them talk, they're so fed up. They're they had it. They can't stand the play calling. They can't stand the direction that they're going when they thought for sure they were going to be a competitive and winning team to where they're at now. And with better players on offense, they just can't believe it. So the coaching staff alone, and I'm saying this offensively and defensively, has been putrid, has been terrible for this team. Nothing has gotten better. It's actually gotten worse. So the crazy thing is, a lot of Raider fans, I know when Rich Bisaccia last year was still in the talks of possibly staying, if Rich Bisaccia if Mark Davis decides to keep him as coach, he keeps Gruden's offense, nothing changes, but you get Adams. Now that offense that did so well last year with minimal talent, you add Adams to that team. I mean, who knows what could have happened?
It says I'll miss Carr for sure if he leaves here. So,
for sure,
so he must be a Raiders fan then, obviously.
Obi-Wan.
The locker room wanted Bisaccia there. So
yeah, they definitely did. They were all backing Bisaccia, and stupidly, here's the one thing about Mark Davis versus Al Davis. I don't think Mark actually learned enough from Al because Al was a football guy. He knew the ins and outs of the NFL. But Mark, you would think that something would have rubbed off on Mark. Hey, listen, because Al used to bring in players. He used to bring in, Rich Buchanan and Tim Brown and have meetings with his players.
Yeah.
To get their perspectives on how things are going, how are you doing, this type of thing. Mark, I don't think, does that. And I think it would be a huge deal if he brought in Derek Carr right now to get his honest opinion on everything and how it's transpired, how the team is feeling. Same thing with Jacobs and Devontae, and really get a sense for behind the scenes behind the closed door of his office, where he could probably get some honest opinions, not biased ones and not predetermined ones, to where he might get a sense of how McDaniels is handling the team, and that could really kind of really help them with the decision
what's
here.
going on really down when it's all there. But yeah, a lot of turmoil going on, and it's crazy that we're hearing all this now around week 17, end of the
That's
season
right.
here.
It's crazy,
but
dude.
it's nuts that it's happened so quickly here at the end of the season, Joe. It
Just wait till
seems like
next
it just
week.
started, but yeah, so it's been exciting. This is it for us for this
Yes, sir.
week. Happy New Year to everybody out there. We're going to be joining
Happy
you
New
next
Year.
year, and we're going to make some more switches to our show again. I have moved, so the studio's all different and everything. We're still remodeling and doing some
Yep,
different stuff.
still trying to figure things out.
We'll keep you guys informed with that stuff, but thank you so much for joining us once again.
Yes.
Don't forget to go to our YouTube page
Obi-Wan.
and stuff.
May
And,
the Force be with you. Thank
be
you,
with
Obi-Wan.
you. Absolutely.
Thanks for chiming in, bro.
All right, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.